were when eventually, without proper structure, without proper planning, without proper policy framework, he removed the fuel subsidy. That nosedived the economy in a very bad way. That gave the economy a very a bad start in his own administration, because the cost of transportation for the ordinary worker on the street rose up to 300%. When people were coming from Nyanya massacre and other places, to town, who are supposed to be earning 30,000 naira, 35,000 naira, 50,000 naira, were not paying transport in a month that was running to 40,000 naira. So that was not a proper, well thought out process. It wasn't a well articulated decision. It was a decision taken by emotion or by the feelers of what he was hearing on before he got to office, or something like that, who protested against the fuel subsidy removal by Jonathan in 2012, who led that protest, who participated fully in standing against such removal. I think with hindsight, he would have sit down with an economic team, restudy the problems that the oil sector is facing, whether the downstream and the upstream, and then look at it properly on the best way to remove the fuel subsidy without putting Nigeria in the current quagmire that we find ourselves. So that fuel subsidy was a bad decision. And if you look at what Dangote said, that the worst decision of 2023 was the removal, or was the devaluation of the naira. The devaluation of naira took naira from 500 and something naira to about 1,900. Because when you are doing your economic policy, it is not about how your emotions as you wake up in the morning, because you'll be given power by the constitution to govern the country. You must have sound economic principle driving that policy. You must have people on the table that you will listen to, that will talk to you, and that you will connect your policy to the ordinary man on the street. If you are connecting your policy to how you want to save money, because what they are saying is that Nigeria is losing money. If Nigeria is losing money, and that whatever numbers of liters of petrol that we consume in a day is not up to that they are taking them to Chad, taking them to Ghana through the border, what is the cost of doing?
Well, if you listen to some analysts when this very statement was made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, some persons applaud his mood that some administration have tried so much to remove fuel subsidy because of the corruption in that sector. Why not give him a pass mark there?
Why are you giving a pass mark? Did you see the negative effect of what the first subsidy removal have done? It's obvious to everybody. Nobody should pretend. It's not about him. I'm not talking about Bola. I'm talking about the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I am a stakeholder, a critical stakeholder in as a Nigerian. So it's not about him. People personalize governance in this country and say, we are talking to the president. No, I'm talking to the office of the president. That you be more considerate whenever you are taking decisions about the interest of our people. We have refineries that have been going through turnaround maintenance. Over the years, they keep on telling us it will be completed. What was the committee set up to review that process? If we have oil, the theft in our oil, the crude oil theft is running into billions of dollars, as announced by NNPC itself publicly last year. And what are they doing to stop big vessels coming on our highway to take our crude oil without our permission? You see that they are insider collaboration. So we are talking about what affects the ordinary man. People are talking about, no, I don't, whether it's Mr. George, Mr. B that is president today, as long as we are doing something that reflects negatively on the worker, that reflects negatively on the ordinary people in this country. I grew up in the system. I grew up with a father who was earning salary, so I know what it is to pay school fees, to feed, to do every other thing. Not because now that I sit maybe on a more comfortable, I will now go and sleep. I know what it is for our people. So we are saying this so that the president will hear, so that they will have a better sound judgment when he's taking decision next time. Look at what happened during Obasanjo's time. People don't want to talk about it. Look at them, the kind of economic thing they put in place to make sure that Nigeria will. Look at what Okonjo-Iweala did with our debt relief system. Look at even in NAFDAC, we have a functional system with Akunyili. So please, Dora, we must sit down to put some people in. Don't be giving appointment based on political consideration. It affects the life of the people. We can't run a government by piloting, by sharing rights to our people. There's no way in the world that such economic policies are taking anybody out of poverty. By handout. No way in the world. China wanted to get out of poverty. They make sure they give the highest level of subsidy in power because for production. So I'm not saying that the president does not have good intention. It's not about good intention. It's about implementation of the intention. It is not that when you have good intentions and you can't communicate it very well, and it makes people poor, and it makes people suffer, then that intention should be jettisoned. And then you look for a superior intention that will better the life of the people.
So apart from fuel subsidy now, let's look at other areas. Because of time, we may not be able to dwell too long on fuel subsidy. Insecurity also is there. So many persons felt that he is not a military general like what we have in the past. He should be able to feel the impulse of Nigeria and probably take a decisive decision or policy in terms of tackling insecurity. We see an increase in numbers of attacks. Just a few days ago, 12 students were kidnapped in Kogi State. Good enough, we had about 21 of them have been rescued. What's your own assessment of the security under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
The security situation hasn't improved that much, because that's what you hear. My village is on a very high way. We have to block one part of the village from Okugo going to Mugu, because the level of kidnapping that happens along before my father's house there is very high. So a lot of people, we won't hear that, it's not in the news. A lot of people have the same story to tell. And I was just not concentrating on fuel subsidy alone. There's the electricity tariff. There are many issues that have been taken that, but we are not, but what I'm saying that it's not about being a military general before you can take decisions that they have been given by the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. There are people who are military generals who have the competence within our armed forces. I grew up in I grew up in the system. So I see people who have the competence. If, like I said earlier on, if appointment is not based on consideration, it's not based on favoritism, it's not based on nepotism and all of these factors that have affected leadership negatively. If appointment is not based on that, then you will do well. If you go to the armed forces today, you will see people who are willing to go into the forest and die for this country. You will see soldiers who are giving their life up on this country. How much do they receive? How much do they take up of a soldier? How much? You pay the NNPC people 300 times what you pay them. You pay the CBN people 300 times what you pay. I grew up in the barracks. I'm telling people, I used to say it on TV, and people think it's funny. It's not funny because we see it. So how much you pay them that they take so much risk? So what you should do is to look at how to create system that works, proper housing scheme, so that a soldier who is serving our military does not have to save all his life and struggle for the next 35 years to build a house in his village. He doesn't have to struggle to want to build a house in anywhere of his choice where he will retire and then struggle for the next 35 years. What you should do is to create a proper mortgage system that is accessible to them, a proper system that will be able to give money that will help them to live a better life. If we don't have this system in place, a proper healthcare system, if we don't have this system in place, we continue to run around in cycle. The president must not be a commander-in-chief, must not be be a military officer, but he's already a commander-in-chief. Let him sit down with his team, let them withdraw and redesign our security architecture. There's nowhere you go in this country that you are just seeing soldiers and security checkpoints everywhere. So how is this kidnapping so successful? So we must reinterrogate these processes and this architectural security architecture that we have, and then make sure that what works is what we apply, and that this kidnapping is affecting business in this country. Most people are not coming to invest. There are two things that gives investors confidence. Majorly, one is there are three: your fiscal policy, your security, and your power. If you don't have this one, if government just take decisions as if it's a tribunal on its own, onto itself, then investors, FDI will reduce. Foreign direct investment will disappear. So government must know that when people come to invest, they want that their investment is secure. They want the fact that there are no two governments within the government. Because the bandits and the terrorists today are actually running government within the government. When they will come and then kidnap our brothers and sisters and our children, and then be demanding ransom from government, and then be oppressing the citizens. Citizens are now afraid to go to school, and it's going to eventually affect our education. Our education is already in a very dire state, in a very bad situation where you have segregations in our school. And we went to school where you could go to school with all level of people, whether they are directors, whether they are major general. We can sit in the same with their children. Our parents are major general or directors. We could sit in the same class. But today now the poor people, the children of the masses have been drawn one side, and the children of the rich have been put one side. That's why you have expensive public schools. Public schools are more now what we have. Even in rural communities, If a person can just do 2 business and say it's public school, people prefer to attend than to go to government school. So government must sit down and see how to make sure that our public schools are very attractive, because the teachers who are there should be well paid and should be well taken care of. After that, you don't have to secure, you can't secure every school with soldiers. You can't. Schools are too many. Nigeria is big. What you should do is to make sure that our borders are well secured. We have a surveillance system that can preempt the attack by this terrorist group, and then deal with them accordingly, and then give them the kind of treatment that should be given to those people who are destabilizing our country. So, but if we rub hand gloves, like all this rehabilitation of terrorist group into the armed forces and putting them back into our system, it's going to be encouraging a lot of bad behavior. It's like, giving applause for somebody who have done bad things. So the president must sit up and make sure that schools are secured in this country, because we already have over 20 million out of school children. We can't continue to add down numbers, and then parents will now be afraid for their daughters to go to school. Because look at those who have been kidnapped in Chibok, in Kaduna and other places. Most of them have been married off. They are not back to their family. So this is danger that their parents are afraid of. So the president must see this as a matter of urgency, to treat it as a matter of national security.
Well, if you look at the fiscal policy of the government, just like you mentioned earlier, trying to ensure that we have a safe environment for investors to come. Some of the initiative of this administration was tax waivers for some manufacturing sectors and importation of some other items, even though the unification of the naira has also caused, of the dollar has caused problem in our economy. What's your own take now on the economic growth so far?
The economy is not growing. If you see the report I read about 2 weeks ago, that we are having problem. The import rate has dropped. We can't export, and our import rate is dropping. It shows that the purchasing power and a lot of economic negative effect is affecting even the importers. So we are consuming nation. We only consume. We don't produce anything. We hardly even do anything that people we want to patronize. We don't export to other countries. So the government must look at a way. If we are going to be specializing on agricultural products and agricultural export, let's invest so much there, because we have the arable land for that to work in Nigeria. We have the land to be able to I think they say over 42 million on uncultivated land. So why are we in this poverty? Why are we in this pain? Why are we dependent on a monoproduct economy? When in the 60s, the First Republic and Second Republic, regions were contributing percentage to federal government for resources that they have earned. Why is the gold in Zamfara? Why is it not, why is there no attention by government to have a deliberate policy and a deliberate system in place to make sure the gold in those areas are well mined for the benefit of our people? Why is it that terrorists have taken over that place? So there are a lot of broader issues that we could discuss that the government is not fixated on, and government is looking at, surface dressing, of how to make sure that maybe people discuss politics, you reply people, and then you talk about politics. This is not time for politics. This is time to put food and put money in the pocket of the citizens. If you put in money, we are not asking to put. If you look at what happened during the recession when Obama was in office, Obama turned America to a construction site. If you want to spend money, you turn Nigeria to construction site. We don't have the road. What is nearness to business? What is more important to a business? Is it not accessibility? It's not and power? How do you travel from here to Lokoja? How do you take your product from Southeast through Kogi, through Edo, and come to this place?
But we're seeing what the Minister of Works is doing with the construction of the coastal highway.
The misplacement of priority. That's the truth. That road will not be ready in 30 years. That road has destroyed 57 businesses. That road was supposed to pass in front of Water Corporation. It could have been a beautiful project, because communities in the coastal line, from Calabar to Aba to all those other Ugoja houses, would have benefited. They would virtually benefit. But it was already put in place. There was no proper planning for that project. It's just that they keep on changing tools and changing mind as long as Nigerian react. The road was supposed to pass Water Corporation front. and then they shifted it to beachfront. Is it to benefit the Eco-Atlantic project? Eco-Atlantic is owned by the Chaguri Group. The CDK, the president's son is the director in the CDK, part of the subsidiary company of Chaguri Group. The high-tech construction they are talking about, as in constructing the road between Ekpe and Badagry also, Ekpe-Badagry Express. For many years, there have been variation upon that project. I know Chaguri Group company have done a lot of building construction that are part of the National Assembly and all that during the Abacha days. But we are talking about now, about road construction, a major 700 kilometers of road, where you have no impact study assessment this in Asia. You don't have it. Environmental impact study. It's not on ground. When they started, it was when Nigeria started talking, yes, the engineer in charge of the project, the Minister of Works, the brilliant man, he can explain and then dazzle Nigeria. But you cannot start a project and then later tell Nigeria you have a preliminary report, which is temporary, that has not been put through any test. Then you want to give such project out. For the benefit of cost, it is very important not to give waiver for such contract. To say because you have the power and there's a loophole in the BPE Act, in the Procurement Act, that the president can just give out without any, how they call it, bidding. You should put a bidding. Let Julius Berger come. Let this company come. Let that company come. It is from opening of that bid, you will study the bid and see different designs. These designs will help Nigeria to know whether there's a cost adjustment that will benefit Nigeria, whether there's a more standard durability or whatever level of material that will use that will benefit Nigeria. Then Nigeria should take an informed decision based on this, different kind of bidding. So taking such decision to benefit Nigeria must be done with transparency. Governance, open governance that people are preaching all over the world. It's not because governance will not eventually benefit the people. But open governance is because it will drive away corruption, it will drive away favoritism, it will drive away nepotism. That's why they say open transparency is the hallmark of leadership. If you are not transparent and whatever you've done is shaded, the National Assembly approved 500 million naira for that project. They told us the project was a build, operate and transfer. That means it will be told 3,000 to 5,000 is what the minister said. But today Nigeria has released 1 trillion naira for 1-point-something kilometer road, for a road that is 700 kilometers. So you don't want to ask questions. They say, no, don't ask. You are opposition. You are just saying, no, we are not just opposition. What we say is that without even saying the truth and coming to say the truth, government will never take decision. Today, government have shifted that thing a little bit now. After the outcry of destruction of landmark property, they have now adjusted to save the other business. It's because people want to speak up.
Well, it means the government also have the listening ear for it to...
I must commend them for that, because we can't just come here and criticize. When we criticize and the government take action, because we could see that the security level, Nigerians were really up enhanced with the cyber security level.
And that has been
suspended. We must give how they call it commendation to the president for listening to Nigerians, because it's a democracy. It's not an autocratic and a dictatorship. Democratic process, because there's nothing like that. They can't combine. It's either it's democracy or it's dictatorship. But if he listens, that means you know that the government has the passion to actually listen to Nigeria. But these spokesmen who are also very fast, like to go to Twitter and tweet and say no, Nigeria must pay. Those are the people misleading the president. So the president must listen. That is also a gift on its own. It's a power on its own, because the more you listen to the people, the more you adjust, and the more the people see you as a people, oriented, leadership. Somebody that has a listening heart. So people will speak up, and if you don't speak up, you won't get answers. Because when people are in government, most times people try to want to, mislead them for their own personal, because they say you have table manners when you are eating. You don't talk.
All right, let's look at this last issue, corruption. So many persons will also give it to the president. You saw what he did with the CBN. When he removed the former governor of the CBN, humanitarian ministry is also there. And then the chairman of the EFCC, the one who was supposed to go after the corrupt persons, was also removed by the president. A step so many persons believe the president have the interest of Nigerians in terms of tackling corruption. What's your own assessment in that area?
During the Buhari administration, Buhari was the party man. When his party man rob Nigeria of their money, Buhari won't try it. He would prefer to try the position again. Obasanjo was trying even more of his party persons than the outsider. You know, if you look at the record, PDP people were more at the heat in the AFCC, which shows that there was nobody was above the law. That's what I'm trying to define. I will want to, you know, also thank the president for taking the bull by the horn, because of the level of people that have been trying, both past governors who have mismanaged government resources, that have left states without nothing, that the state is even grasping for air today, and that the AFCC is doing everything. And why I tried not to praise the president, because the EFCC is an independent organization. So that's why you see I try to avoid not to praise them, you know, not because I do not see that they can interfere in the affairs of the EFCC through the back door. Or maybe presidents have interfered, which is very bad, because the reason why EFCC was formed is to also give investors confidence during the Obasanjo regime, because when we're looking for debt relief, we're told many things we needed to do to make sure, like the public procurement the bureau that was set up, EFCC, ICPC. These are part of the conditions that were given to Nigerians when we're looking for debt, you know, cancellation. Because they say, well, in the absence of all this, if we relieve you of your debt, you are going to go back, people will steal them again. So it is better you put this in place. So that's why these checkers were placed. So when we give kudos to whoever is in charge of the executive arm over the affairs of the FCC, we tend to undermine the independence of the FCC, and that is the truth. But we cannot also take away, as Nigerians, that there has been interference in the affairs of these independent commissions. So we will use that as a Nigerian way of doing democracy and say, yes, the president has tried.
All right. We have to end this discussion here, but before I let you go, maybe your final words as we wrap up for this very discussion. May 29 is just by the corner. Are we expecting anything different, or what should the president be looking at after this 1 year notice?
I think the president should have a proper plan on how to take Nigeria from poverty, and they should stop, all governors and all ministers should stop commissioning boreholes. I grew up in a situation in this country where pipe-borne water was a major discussion. But now people are now creating boreholes everywhere. And governors will donate borehole and then say, "I'm supposed to thank me, let me do borehole." That was the public fund. And you know, the government should have a plan on how to look at FCT. When we came to FCT, every Gariki, there are major cities there, even Kuba, have pipe-borne water. The other new rural area, other small urban communities that are being built within the urban area of FCT now have no pipe-borne water. And people are struggling with water within FCT. I've seen documentaries as that. So the president must have a way that the minister, the work being done in the center of this community should also be pushed to the rural area. Let there be roads for people in the FCT. Let there be roads in the rural communities of the FCT. Let there be water, and then he should plan very well to take Nigeria from this low level of economic participation in the international community.
Ramos, thank you so much. Chief Ahmed Peter, National Secretary, Coalition of United Political Party, and a former National Chairman of IPAC. I thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you for having me.